Curiosity.
It sounds pretty silly when people say, Polly want a cracker or Polly want a biscuit. It would sound even sillier if they said, Polly want a chop or Polly want a sausage. Perhaps not so silly though with this particular bird, which is the kea. It's a parrot found in New Zealand, and it is on occasion carnivorous. Most of its diet is like other parrots, things like seeds and berries and fruit, but on occasion this one eats meat. It's a peculiar bird, it's the only parrot known to eat meat, and it's just one of a whole lot of New Zealand's peculiar and interesting birds. Another one, perhaps the best known, is the kiwi. The kiwi is quite a small bird. It's only really the size of a rooster. They're not often seen in the wild because they're very shy, they're nocturnal, and of course they blend into the background so superbly. They've got very dull and drab feathers. But while they're drab, the feathers are very interesting because if you examine them, they're really quite close to the feathers of another primitive bird, the emu. So kiwi feathers resemble emu feathers, and in fact the kiwi is related to the emu and to the extinct moa and the cassowary, a whole lot of large flightless birds, very peculiar in their way and very primitive. But what was it that placed all this collection of primitive birds in the islands of New Zealand and Australia? Well, none of that collection of animals can fly, but it's thought that perhaps their ancestors once could, and all of them have taken to life on the ground, surviving by adapting to living in that way. And of course their skeleton and their adaptations really show all the clues of that. For example, if you look at their bones, there's a clue there. That's the bone from a large flying bird. In fact, it's a pelican. And of course, to get off the ground, they have to be as light as they can. And you'll see that their bones are extremely thin-walled. They're full of air. They've got large air spaces in the middle. The bones of a mammal, like an ox, are very thick-walled, like that, and they have no air spaces in them. Well, so it is with the kiwi. Wandering around on the ground, its bones are solid. They're more like the bones of a mammal. And the beak's peculiar too. Most birds have very good vision and very poor sense of smell, and the kiwi's virtually the reverse. Its eyesight's extremely poor, but its nostrils are extremely keen. And in fact, they're not placed up there, the way most birds have them. They're right down at the tip of the beak. And the kiwi is unique in that respect, because at night, not using sight, it wanders around the forest floor, sniffing out its prey and grabbing it with that long spiky beak. In fact, the beak's useful. You can tell the difference between the sexes. The female has a longer beak. You can tell the male because he calls, and the cry is like kiwi, kiwi, or so the Maoris thought when they named it. Well, there's another difference too, and it's quite a considerable one. Here it is. It's the kiwi egg. The female lays this, and it's a monster. It's about 1/2 kilogram in weight, and it's 1/4 of the adult bird's size. It must be a prodigious undertaking, and of course, when she's done it, she feels she's done enough, and she buzzes off, leaving the male to sit on this, to hatch it, and to rear the baby. Well, they're not the only ones to rear baby chicks. These kiwis are kept at Otorohanga. It's a place where they actually specialise in rearing chicks, and they have these in incubators, they hatch them out, and they now export them to zoos all over the world if the zoos have the facilities that are proper for keeping kiwis. And this is what a kiwi chick looks like. This is a little spotted kiwi, the first one to be bred in captivity in 13 years, and it's really quite an achievement because this is the most endangered of the 3 kiwi species. And this is the incubator with a kiwi egg inside. These incubators are specially constructed to keep the egg at 35 degrees up there and 33 at the bottom. Kiwis don't turn their eggs over the way chooks and other birds do. The male just sits on it and then goes off and gets food. So when he's sitting on there, it's warm at the top, and the embryo comes up to the top. When he goes away, it's warmer down the bottom, and the embryo moves inside the egg to get to the bottom. And that movement inside the egg produces the same effect as if the egg were being moved around. It stops the embryo from sticking to the membranes of the egg. Well, why incubate the eggs at all? Why not leave them to the kiwis? 2 main reasons. Some kiwis simply aren't good parents. Secondly, if you take the egg away and put it into here, they'll lay another, and you get twice as many kiwis. So there you have the kiwi. It was once thought to be endangered, but now it's known that it's not. It's preserved in places like national parks, and of course it's housed and raised here. And so it's a survivor. It's an interesting and unique bird, and it's not a bad symbol for a country.